Simulan mong abutin ang iyong pangarap na magbibigay dangal sa iyong bukas. Ang suliranin, hindi laging nandyan, dapat mong harapin. Kami iyong kasama sa bawat takin, magkaakbay nating lulutasin. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ang boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ikaw lagi ang bida. Ang mga aral ay ginintuang atin ng bawat guro na siyang gagabay sa iyong pagkamulat. Naway umukit ito sa iyong isipan, maging mapanuri, sundin ng wasto at nararapat. Kagandahang asal ang ipakita, ipadama ang pusong may malasakit. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ang boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ikaw lagi ang bida. Sakali mang tayo'y subukin ng unos, ating haharapin ng walang takot. Sasamahan ka ni Fernan at Dino, ang bagong barkada mo. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, edukasyon mo'y sigurado na. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, edukasyon mo'y sigurado na.
Fernandino Teens TV.
Good morning, Fernandino Teens. It is a lovely day today, isn't it? Actually, every day is a lovely day because every time we wake up in the morning, it is already a great blessing from the Lord, whatever the situation may be. There is a saying, habang may buhay, may pag-asa. And with that, it is time for you to learn something new today that you can use during this time of pandemic. I am Ma'am Rosalie Guevarra, a TLE teacher, and I will be your lecturer for today's episode. Please bear with me as we take up our lesson for today. Hear me out and lend me your treasured time because every FTTV episode is worth your precious time. For today's learning episode, you are expected to first, identify the 7 basic hand stitches and their uses. Second, name the basic tools and materials needed in hand stitching. Third, acquire knowledge and skills in making the 7 basic hand stitches. And the fourth, recognize the importance of the 7 basic hand stitches by mending and sewing your own clothes. Before we start with the lesson proper, I want to know if you can relate to these pictures. Have you ever found yourself in one of these situations? Do you have more than one torn clothing? What did you do with your clothes? Perhaps you have asked your mother or sister to mend your torn clothes so you can wear them again. For sure, they use sewing materials to work on the damaged clothes. You can do the same thing so that you will become independent in mending or fixing your own clothes. For today's lesson, I am going to give you an idea of how to mend and sew your own clothes. But before that, let us go over the important terms that we may encounter in our lesson. The first word is mending. It is a way of repairing clothes that have holes, stains, or other signs of wear to make them more useful and beautiful. Second word is sewing. It is the process of using a needle and thread to connect pieces of fabric or attach them to fabric surfaces. Third word is stitch. It is a loop of thread or yarn resulting from a single pass or movement of the needle in sewing, knitting, or crocheting. Fourth word is fabric. It refers to a cloth or other material produced by weaving together cotton, nylon, wool, silk, or other threads. Fifth word is seam. It is a line along which two pieces of fabric are sewn together in a garment or other article. And the last word is hem. It is the edge of a piece of cloth or clothing which has been turned under and sewn. This time, let us play word scramble. All you have to do is to arrange the jumbled words to get the title of our lesson for this episode. The first letter of each word is given for you. You may write your answers on the comment box below. What did you get? If your answer is basic hand stitches, then you are correct. Today's session is all about basic hand stitches. But before that, let me share with you the history of sewing. Did you know that sewing was one of the first skills that Homo sapiens learned how to do? Sewing is the process of using a needle and thread to attach pieces of fabric. It came before the invention of spinning yarn and weaving, originating in the Paleolithic era, the Old Stone Age. However, the materials used for sewing during those times were quite different from the ones we use at present. Did you know that people started sewing by hand some 20,000 years ago? The first needle was made from bones or animal horns, and the thread made from animal sinew. The first sewing process aimed to create clothing made from skin, fur, or bark by using animal bones or antlers as needles and animal tendons or veins as thread. The use of the word sewing occurred in the 14th century, whilst around 25 different sewing techniques currently exist. And now, when we talk about hand stitching today, it seems a little weird, right? In a world of machines, where people's jobs are made as easy as possible by using machines, hand sewing appears absurd or ridiculous. I'm very much aware of this fact, but I believe there are always times when you wish to go back to history and see how it was, don't you? I know I do. Stay with me through this session and you will see all the great stuff about hand sewing. More of this when Fernandino Teens TV Season 2 returns.
Ang Schools Division Office City of San Fernando, Pampanga ay kaisa ng Department of Education sa pagsasagawa ng mga proyekto at programa na tumutugon sa mga pangangailangan ng mga mag-aaral. Inilunsad ang Division Call Center for Tutors and Guidance Counselors upang magbigay ng educational at psychological assistance sa mga mag-aaral, magulang at stakeholders ng division. Kaya, kung may nais kayong itanong tungkol sa pag-aaral, maaaring magpadala ng mensahe sa Division Call Center for Tutors and Guidance Counselors Facebook page o tumawag sa mga numero na makikita sa ibaba ng inyong screen tuwing Lunes hanggang Biyernes sa ganap na alas 8 ng umaga hanggang alas 6 ng gabi. Maaari rin kayong sumangguni sa ating guidance counselors na nagbibigay ng guidance and counseling services. Lahat ng inyong ibabahagi ay mananatiling confidential. Ang nasabing programa ay nagsisilbing daan upang malaman ang feedbacks ng stakeholders para matulungan ang ating divisyon na mapagbuti pa ang mga sumusunod na programa. Ano pang hinihintay ninyo? Tumawag na sa aming mga numero o bumisita na sa aming Facebook page at magpadala ng inyong mga katanungan.
Fernandino Teens TV.
We are back, Fernandino Teens. Earlier, you were able to discover how sewing started. This time, you will find out how to sew fast by hand. no machine is necessary. And you can make so many great things. Hand stitching is an easy method of stitching hems, small sewing projects, and mending clothing and other items. There are times when you may not have access to sewing machine, or the job is simply better done by hand. Couture fashion is almost synonymous with hand stitching as it gives more precision, and sometimes you can only achieve a particular result by hand. Delicate fabrics do not always agree with the sewing machine and so must be hand stitched. Hand sewing is said to be an art form that can satisfy your creative side. As an art form, hand sewing brings pleasure to millions of people around the world. If you learn some of these basic stitches, you will be able to do embroidery, seams, and hems. You can make clothing articles and decorative items for your home once you have mastered these stitches. Now, to know more about basic hand stitches, I prepared another activity named Fill in the boxes. Supply the missing letters to get the correct answer. To participate, you may write your answers in the comment box below. Number 1. If backstitch is your answer, you got it right. Number 2. Excellent. Basting is the right answer. Number 3. The correct answer is running stitch. Fantastic! Number 4. If your answer is outline stitch, amazing! Number 5. Terrific! Blanket stitch is the right answer. Number 6. If catch stitch is your answer, you are correct. Lastly, great job! Chain stitch is the correct answer. Fernandino teens, were you able to guess all the correct answers? If yes, you are doing well. There are many different types of hand stitching, but we will just focus on a few basic hand stitches you are likely to come across in your sewing journey. Basic hand stitches are very easy if you learn each step thoroughly before you start practicing the next step. Sewing by hand is a skill that most, If not all, people should probably attempt to master at some point. Are you excited to know more about the 7 basic hand stitches? If yes, let us get started learning the different basic hand stitches. The first type is back stitch. It resembles machine stitching and is used to strengthen a seam made by hand. The small stitches done back and forth makes the back stitch the strongest stitch among the basic stitches. Second is basting. This stitch is just the running stitch but longer. Instead of making your stitches a centimeter apart, make them inch to inch apart from each other. It is quite important in successful sewing. This is used to hold fabric temporarily in place until permanently stitched. Basting is sewing long, easily removable stitches by machine or by hand. It is also called tacking. Third is running stitch. It is one of the most basic embroidery and sewing stitches and is usually the first stitch learned by the beginners. The stitches are made by taking the needle up and down through the fabric at regular or irregular intervals. Fourth is outline stitch. It is similar to the back stitch, but it is slanted. An embroidery stitch used to outline a design, specifically a stitch made by overlapping back stitches to form a pattern like the twist of a rope. Fifth is blanket stitch. A buttonhole stitch used on the edges of a blanket or other material too thick to be hemmed. It may also be called a cable stitch or a crochet stitch. Sixth is catch stitch. A large cross stitch of uneven proportion used especially on bulky materials for finishing and hemming. This is used for a flat finish next to fabric, such as seam binding on a hem. And the last type of basic hand stitch is chain stitch. It is a sewing and embroidery technique in which a series of loop stitches form a chain-like pattern. Fernandino teens, have you tried mending and sewing your own clothes using these different types of hand stitches? What is your favorite stitch? Is there one you use all the time? Learning basic hand sewing stitches is a step you can take to enjoy what others are doing, and it is a prerequisite to have the right tools that will help you become more efficient in your sewing journey. This time, let us talk about the basic tools and materials required for making different basic hand stitches. Meanwhile, I prepared another activity. Let us call it Name It. Let us see if you have an idea of the things needed in hand stitching. Name the tools and materials needed for hand sewing. Again, to participate, you may write your answers in the comment box below. Here are the correct answers: ruler, shears, scissors, seam ripper, chalk pencil, tailor's chalk, pin cushion, hand needle, pins, sewing needle threader, thimble, thread, and fabric. Did you get all the correct answers? You hit the target. If you are ready to start on your first sewing journey, there are few tools you are going to need along the way. These are the most basic sewing tools and materials for beginners that you can live without. As you learn more about sewing, you will discover other tools to help with specific techniques and tasks to add your sewing kit. Success in sewing calls for the right tools at the right time. All tools must be appropriate in a proper order, and one must know how to use them to save time and produce the best result. More of our sewing journey when Fernandino Teens TV Season 2 returns.
Maya po oras kaya kayo, Fernandinos. Ako pala ay Elwin Arl Serrano ng City Tourism Office ng Ciudad San Fernando. Ngayong bulan na ini, pagmasusyantaya ang National Heritage Month, nating temang Victory and Humanity, Upholding Filipino Heritage and Identity. Kambena nini, metong karang aktibidades na ng syudad, apin ng launching ng bayong Heritage Passport. Yung Heritage Passport, apin ng metong karing proyekto ng kakatamong syudad, yung pamanamuna ng Mayor Edwin D. Santiago. Anong nuka rin makalagelangan ding eganagan ng heritage sites, heritage structures, naakit tamo kin kay katamong heritage district. Makakayado din kini, ding importansya da ding mapel na tradisyon, kay ni syudad, kalupa na ning pamangawang parol, ang po yung pamangalesa. May awo siyang heritage passport, uling atin kang dapat gawan, anong nukaran puntalan mo lading at tsuking passport, at saka ka mag-selfie, kay ba't kanta palto making tourism office, at mamiyalang sticker ka rin eganagan ng apuntulan mong lugar. At timong may ngari ang tutong passport. Balo mi ngeni, panahon na ini, etamo makain bisa lumal, uli na ng COVID-19 pandemic. Kaya naman kimbanwa ngayon agkatan ko la ding bikers tamo, edad 18 hanggang 50, imbis na lumaot kayo po, di na nyo lang dita ka oras di kaya katamong heritage structures, kaya ni syudad. Anya naman karing mumunang 50 bikers ang makayari kaya katamong heritage passport, Midinan lang premyong only San Fernando loot bag. Inggawan nyo mo bakan ta makapag-register, munta kayo mismo opisina na ng City Tourism, yung munisipyo, at saka kayo magdalang metong valid ID. Kabiyanin kaya kayong heritage passport, ating makasipit ang instruction nung nano pa ing dapat gawan. Anya naman ka rin hanggang kapadyakin, nanano ko pa, tara na!
Fernandino Teens TV.
You are still tuned to Fernandino Teens TV Season 2. This time, let me share with you the basic hand stitching techniques. These allow you to quickly make repairs and do small projects. Even if you have a sewing machine, there are times that hand sewing is better to give you the results you want. Learn about hand-sewed stitches, how to sew them, and which technique works best for different purposes. Number 1. Thread a hand-sewing needle. Number 2. Use a needle threader. Number 3. Hand sewing needles. Lastly, knot the end of hand sewing thread. This time, let us watch videos showing the techniques on how to tie a knot and the steps in performing basic hand stitches. Enjoy watching! How did you find hand stitching? Hand sewing seems to be polarizing. You love it or hate it. No matter what camp you are in, I know you're bound to bring out the needle and thread at some point. Therefore, I wish you to apply these ideas on how to do simple hand stitching in mending or in repairing your own clothes. You will realize it is not that hard and how much fun it can be. Fernandino teens, do you want some more? Well, we are going to have a break for a while. Stay tuned for when we come back. We are going to have the final activity.
Hindi lamang sa larangan ng pangkabuhayan apektado ang maraming pamilyang Pilipino, kundi maging sa larangan ng pagkatuto ng bawat batang Pilipino. Inilunsad ng siyudad ng San Fernando ang programang Nurturing Environment and System for Thriving or NEST, isang education community pantry na naglalayon para sa isang malawakang pagtulong, pagtantabay at paggabay na ang focus ay ang makapagbigay ng tulong at suporta sa ating mga mag-aaral sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay ng educational needs gaya na lamang ng school supplies, tutorial sessions, study tips, at iba pang mga pamamaraan na mas lalong makatutulong sa pag-angat ng ating edukasyon. Dahil hindi hadlang ang pandemya sa magandang kinabukasang naghihintay sa ating mga mag-aaral. Sino-sino nga ba ang mga kalahok sa programang ito? Sa pagtutulungan ng ating school administrators, guro, magulang, at iba pang mga miyembro ng ating komunidad gaya ng barangay officials at sangguniang kabataan ay siguradong magiging mas matagumpay ang programang ito. Paano nga ba ang magiging proseso ng naturang programa? Una, magkakaroon tayo ng isang Facebook group, ang Pampanga High School NEST Education Community Pantry na pangungunahan ng Educational Pantry Coordinator. Ang mga magulang, tagapangalaga at mga guro ay ia-add ng ating Educational Pantry members sa Facebook group na ito. Sa page na ito maaaring i-post ng mga magulang at tagapangalaga o sino mang miyembro ng Educational Pantry ang kanilang mga kahilingan o requests. Kailangan ding ilagay ang pangalan ng mag-aaral, grade at section para sa mas agarang aksyon. Oo nga pala, hindi lang requests ang pwedeng i-post. Pwede ring mag-post ang mga nais magbigay ng tulong o mga gustong mag-donate. Sabi nga nila, sharing is caring. Tandaan na ang Facebook group na ito ay pribado at posts na may kaugnayan lamang sa page na ito ang maaaprobahan. Mayroon din palang Google Form na ipamamahagi kung saan maaari nating isumite ang ating requests o kahilingan. Paano naman ang mga walang internet access sa bahay? Huwag mangamba dahil merong mga nakalaang drop boxes ang ating paaralan na kung saan maaaring ihulog ng mga magulang at tagapangalaga ang kanilang requests. Sa mga nais namang mag-donate ng school supplies, maaaring ilagay ang mga ito sa tabi ng drop boxes. Maaari ring mag-donate ng mga kagamitan o cash donation kaakibat ang pagsusumite ng deed of donation form. Pangalawa, mahalaga ang ugnayan ng mga guro at ng mga magulang o tagapangalaga sa programang ito. Gamit ang video calls o chats ay ipahahayag ng mga guro ang adhikain ng programang ito sa mga magulang o tagapangalaga. Maaari ring gawin ang orientation na ito ng face-to-face kasabay ng schedule ng kuhanan ng mga module. Gaya ng nabanggit, hindi lamang mga bagay ang maaaring i-donate. Pwede ring mag-conduct ng tutorial session, study tips, at iba pang mga kagamitan sa pagkatuto gaya ng mga aklat o kaya ay gadgets. Ikatlo, ang requested needs ng ating mga magulang o tagapangalaga ay ililista ng ating NEST focal person. Ang mga coordinator naman ang mag-aayos ng mga ito. Ang advisors ng ating mga mag-aaral, guidance counselor, at iba pang mga guro ay ipaaalam sa ating mga magulang at tagapangalaga ang petsa at oras ng pamimigay ng requested needs na gaganapin sa paaralan. Sabi nga nila, it takes a village to raise a child. Kaya naman aktibo at iba yung pakikilahok ang inaasahan sa pagsasanib puwersa ng paaralan at barangay na siyang tutukoy sa pangangailangan ng bawat Fernandinong mag-aaral at kikilos upang matugunan ito sa tulong at suporta rin ng mga miyembro ng komunidad. Isang malawakang komunidad para sa isang produktibong educational community pantry ay tiyak na lilikha ng iba yung pagkilos upang maging mas magaan at madali ang pagkatuto ng bawat kabataang Fernandino. Kaya naman tandaan, magbigay ayon sa kakayahan, kumuha ayon sa pangangailangan.
Fernandino Teens TV.
Welcome back to Fernandino Teens TV Season 2. Before the break, you were able to learn the needed tools, materials, and the basic hand stitching techniques. Furthermore, you watch videos on how to do basic hand stitches. And now, let us have a quick review before the final activity. What are the 7 basic hand stitches? Very good. We have back stitch, basting, running stitch, outline stitch, blanket stitch, catch stitch, and chain stitch. How about the basic sewing tools and materials used in hand stitching? Great! These are ruler, shears, scissors, seam ripper, chalk pencil, tailor's chalk, pin cushion, hand needle, pins, sewing needle threader, thimble, fabric, and thread. At this point, let us have the final activity. How much have you learned? Are you ready? For test 1, crossword puzzle. Direction: fill out the crossword puzzle with the correct terms using the given clues. Here are the correct answers. 1 down, running stitch. 2 down, blanket stitch. 3 down, catch stitch. 4 down, basting. 5 across, back stitch. 6 across, outline stitch. 7 across, chain stitch. Did you get all the correct answers? Impressive! Finally, we have the last part of the activity entitled Name That Pick. Tell the name of the basic sewing tools. Again, to participate, you may write your answers in the comment box below. First picture. You are right. The answer is shears. Second picture. Did I hear tailor's chalk? Sounds good. Third picture. That is a needle threader. Brilliant. Fourth picture. Pin cushion. Superb. Fifth picture. Did you say thimble? Sharp thinking. Sixth picture. Fabric is the correct answer. Fabulous. Seventh picture. If your answer is pins, going well. Eighth picture. Did you say thread? That is nice. Ninth picture. That is clever. Seam ripper is the correct answer. Last picture. Did I hear hand needles? Spectacular! Did you enjoy the activities? That is great. Top-notch work. The knowledge and skills learned from today's episode may be of great help to us, especially in this time of pandemic. By mending or creating creative apparel, one can earn a living. Who knows that someday you can even own a prestigious clothing line. I hope you enjoyed our fun-filled sewing experience. Meanwhile, here are the references that were used for today's episode. This has been Ma'am Rosalie from Fernandino Teens TV Season 2. Thank you for watching. Keep safe and God bless.
sa iyong bukas. Ang suliranin, hindi laging nandyan, dapat mong harapin. Kami iyong kasama sa bawat takin, magkaakbay nating lulutasin. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ang boses mo ay mahalaga. Dito sa Fernandino Teens TV, ikaw lagi ang bida. Ang mga aral ay ginintuang atin ng bawat guro, na siyang gagabay sa iyong pagkamulat. Naway umukit ito sa iyong isipan, maging